You ever notice how every time you hear the words elected officials, you get this little twitch in your stomach? That's your body warning you. Here comes the scam. Because let's be honest, elected officials don't serve you. They don't serve me, they serve themselves. Always have, always will. That's the gig. That's the whole job description. Get elected, stay elected, cash the checks. They call it public service. Oh, that's cute. Public service, my ass. If it were public service, they'd be the ones waiting 6 hours in line at the DMV, eating cold noodles out of a styrofoam cup, trying to stretch a paycheck till Friday. But no, they've got taxpayer-funded buffets, golden pensions, and a private parking space for their limousine. Some service. The only thing they're servicing is their donors and their dinner plates. And here's the best part. We keep falling for it. Every 4 years, they roll out the same playbook. They kiss babies, they shake hands, they pretend to give a damn. Then the second they win, poof. But they vanish into smoke-filled back rooms with lobbyists and bankers, carving up the pie while you're stuck licking the crumbs off the floor. You know what elections are. They're job interviews for professional liars. They get up there with their polished smiles and their American flag pins, promising hope and change, a better tomorrow, clean air, honest government. And the moment they're sworn in, they go right back to serving the only three things that matter to them: their ego, their bank account, and their re-election campaign. And let's not pretend this is some modern problem. No, this has been the system since forever. Kings, emperors, prime ministers, senators, it's always the same club. They build monuments to themselves, write history books about themselves, and give themselves raises while the people who put them there can't even afford a decent health plan. So when you hear elected official, remember, it's just a fancy term for someone who figured out how to make a lifelong buffet out of your tax. They don't represent you. They don't represent me. They represent themselves. And the menu never changes. Power and self-preservation. Bon appetit. Did you ever notice how whenever a politician opens their mouth and says they're here to serve the people, your bullshit detector goes off so loud you need earplugs? That's because deep down you know it's all a scam. Politicians don't serve the people, they serve themselves. That's the first rule of politics. Hell, it's the only rule of politics, and once you understand that, everything else suddenly makes sense. Every lie, every broken promise, every backroom deal. It all comes down to self-interest. See, when a politician runs for office, they don't wake up one morning and say, you know what, I really want to make my community better. I want to feed the hungry, fix the schools, clean up the streets. No, they wake up and say, how can I get people to clap for me, put my face on billboards, and make sure I never have to work a real job again? That's the motivation. It's not service, it's survival. It's ego. It's about finding a nice, cozy spot at the taxpayer buffet where the food is free and the portions are endless. And don't think for a second they don't know it. They know exactly what they're doing. Every handshake, every fake smile, every God bless America they spit out of their mouth is just another ticket punched on the ride to the good life. Because once you're elected, you've got it made. You've got healthcare, retirement, travel budgets, staff to do your thinking for you, and best of all, you never really have to leave. You just keep running, keep fundraising, keep bullshitting, and the machine keeps feeding you. That's why they love to call it a public service. Sounds noble, right? Public service? It's a great phrase, but it's completely backwards. You and me, we're the public. We're the ones doing the serving. We serve their salaries with our taxes. We serve their reputations with our applause. We serve their ambitions by showing up at the polls like obedient little sheep, choosing between the red liar and the blue liar. They're not serving us. We're the waiters, and they're sitting at the table ordering lobster and champagne on our dime. And boy, do they eat well. Have you ever noticed how politicians never seem to go broke? Ever seen a congressman retire and move into a one-bedroom apartment above a laundromat? Of course not. They all walk away richer than when they started. How does that happen? Because they're not in the business of service, they're in the business of self-service. Every vote, every bill, every speech, it's designed to make sure the gravy train keeps running, and they always get a seat in the dining car. But here's the trick. They can't tell you that outright. They can't say, "Hi, I'm here to get rich. Screw you and pretend I care until re-election." No, no, no. They need to sell you the illusion. They need to make you think they're sacrificing for the greater good. So they wrap themselves in the flag, kiss a few babies, and talk about the American dream or a brighter future. And the public eats it up. Every time. We want to believe someone is looking out for us, when in reality they're just looking out for themselves. And this isn't a modern problem. It's not like things suddenly went bad. No, this is the tradition. This is the model. It's the oldest trick in the book. Power attracts the selfish like honey attracts flies. The people who rise to the top are the ones most willing to lie, cheat, steal, and smile while doing it. That's who wins elections. The smoothest liars in the room. And once they're in, they've got no reason to stop, because the job is perfect for them. Where else can you talk all day, accomplish nothing, and still get paid like a king? Think about it. If politicians really wanted to serve the public, why would they need lobbyists to write half their laws? Why would they need Super PAC to bankroll their campaigns? Why would they spend more time at fundraising dinners than actually reading the bills they're voting on? Because that's not service. That's a hustle. That's self-preservation. The laws they pass aren't for us. They're for the people paying for their re-election campaigns. The corporations, the billionaires, the special interest groups, those are their true constituents. And you? You're just the cover story. You're the excuse they use to justify the scam. And the media's in on it, too. They dress it all up like it's a noble fight, a grand debate between the forces of good and evil. But it's not good and evil. It's Pepsi versus Coke. Two different labels, same damn sugar water. And whichever one you pick, the guy at the top of the company still gets rich. That's politics. That's self-interest first. Always. The best part is when they pretend to be humble. Have you noticed that? They give speeches about living modestly, while they sit in mansions paid for by campaign donors. They talk about fighting for the middle class while they're sipping cocktails with CEOs at private fundraisers. They talk about hard work while their staffers write their speeches, answer their mail, and even remind them when to smile. You call that service? No, that's a performance. That's Broadway with worse acting and better catering. And the audience, that's us. We keep buying tickets to the show. Every election cycle, we line up, we clap, we boo, we pick our side, and we pretend this time it's going to be different. But it never is. Because the characters may change, the slogans may change, the campaign colors may change, but the script never changes. The script is always the same. Self-interest first, public interest somewhere down the list, right after dessert. And I've got news for you. It's not going to change. Because the system isn't broken, it's designed this way. If you design a system where lying gets you elected, corruption makes you rich, and self-interest keeps you in power, then guess what kind of people you attract? Politician. The ultimate self-servers. And once they're in, they'll make damn sure the system stays the same. Because why would they kill the goose that lays the golden eggs? So yeah, when you hear the phrase elected official, don't picture a servant of the people. Picture a fat guy at a buffet line, piling crab legs on his plate with both hands, while you're stuck in the corner chewing on stale bread. That's politics. That's government. That's self-interest first. Always has been, always will be. People act like corruption in politics is some new phenomenon, like it just showed up recently because of modern campaigns or social media or whatever. That's cute. That's really cute. Like people in togas 2,000 years ago weren't already stuffing gold coins into their robes and giving speeches about the will of the people. You think Rome fell because the plumbing gave out? No, it fell because the politicians were the same kind of self-serving clowns we've got now. Different costumes, same script. Power attracts the same species of people across history. Liars, thieves, hustlers with good smiles and worse morals. It's not a bug in the system, it's the operating manual. Look back at kings and queens, what were they doing? Telling peasants God himself wanted them to rule while they were busy taxing the poor, building palaces, and marrying their cousins. That's the original campaign strategy. A vote for me or God gets angry. The people had no choice, but the scam was the same. Rule for yourself, keep the perks, convince everyone else it's for the greater good. Fast forward to today, and the only difference is now they wear flag pins instead of crowns, and instead of divine right, they call it a democracy. Same racket, different marketing. It doesn't matter what system you look at. Monarchy, dictatorship, democracy, communism, the people at the top always figure out how to work it for themselves. You think the Soviet leaders stood in bread lines with everybody else? Hell no! They were sipping vodka in Dutchess, eating steak while the citizens waited 4 hours for cabbage. You think medieval kings went to war so their people could prosper? No, they went to war so they could own more land, get more taxes, and put more shiny crap on their crowns. You think American politicians today are any different? They're just more polite about it. They talk about a freedom while signing checks to defense contractors. It's an eternal cycle. The costumes change, the slogans change, the technology changes, but the song remains the same. Politicians serve themselves, pad their bank accounts, and leave the public holding the bill. And the best part is, every generation thinks they're the first ones to figure it out. People act shocked that their leaders lied to them. What did you expect? That this time it would be different? That this time the professional liar with the $1 million campaign budget was going to keep his promises? That's adorable. That's like being surprised the casino took your money. And every generation gets played by the same tricks. Bread and circuses, folks. Bread and circuses. In ancient Rome, they distracted the peasants with gladiators and free grain. Today, football games, reality TV, and cheap fast food. Keep the masses entertained, keep them fed just enough, and they won't notice you're robbing them blind. Politicians didn't invent distraction, but they perfected it. They know as long as you're busy arguing about your neighbor's bumper sticker, you won't notice the tax loopholes that let billionaires pay less than you do. The cycle keeps repeating because the people let it repeat. That's the painful truth. Every few years, they roll out a fresh face, a new slogan, some shiny words like a hope, a change, unity, progress. And people fall for it like kids at a magic show, clapping at the tricks, not realizing the rabbit was stuffed in the hat the whole time. Then 4 years later, everyone's disappointed again, and the whole cycle starts over. It's like political Groundhog Day. Different day, same con. And you'd think we'd learn. You'd think after centuries of being lied to, cheated, taxed, and screwed, we'd say, you know what, maybe the people in charge aren't on our side. But no, every generation believes in the fairy tale. This time will be different. This candidate really cares. This one has integrity. Integrity? Please, if politicians had integrity, they'd never make it onto the ballot. The system weeds out honest people faster than a saline weeds out common sense. The ones who rise to the top are the ones most willing to compromise, sell out, and tell you exactly what you want to hear while they're planning the opposite. And you can see it written all over history. Pharaohs building pyramids, not to honor the gods, but to make sure everyone remembered their names. Emperors carving their faces into statues, senators giving speeches about virtue while they collected bribes, politicians giving themselves raises while the citizens starved. Same cycle over and over. But they promise service, deliver self-service, and walk away richer than they started. That's the legacy of power. You know what the real eternal cycle is? Hope, disappointment, and amnesia. The people hope, the politicians disappoint, and then the people forget. Rinse, repeat forever. That's how it works. That's how it's always worked. Doesn't matter if it's a king in a palace, a dictator in a bunker, or a senator in a suit. They're all in it for themselves, and the people keep paying the bill like suckers at a rigged carnival game. So when you look at politics and think, oh man, things are worse than ever, just remember, they've always been this way. We're not in a new era of corruption. We're just living through the same old cycle with better Wi-Fi. The only real progress politicians have made in the last 1,000 years is figuring out how to bullshit us faster. Politicians love to call themselves the public servants. Isn't that cute? Public servants, like they're out there scrubbing toilets and mopping floors for the good of the people. Public servants. That's a hell of a job title for somebody who gets driven around in a black SUV, eats steak dinners every night, and retires with a pension bigger than your lifetime earnings. They're not serving you. They're serving the illusion of service. It's theater, a magic show. Smoke and mirrors with better suits and worse jokes. Think about the word as service. If you go to a restaurant, service means somebody brings you food, refills your drink, and makes sure you're comfortable. When a politician says they're serving you, what do they actually bring? Higher taxes, more red tape, broken promises, and a bill you can't afford. That's not service, that's robbery with paperwork. Imagine calling the guy who picks your pocket up public servant. That's what politics is. Professional pickpocketing dressed up as a noble mission. And the way they sell it is incredible. They stand on stage, hand over heart, and say, "I work for you." Oh, really? You work for me? Then why is your office bigger than my apartment? Why is your salary paid with my taxes, but your health care is better than mine? Why do you fly first class while I'm in the middle seat next to a guy who smells like cheese? If you work for me, why am I the one barely scraping by while you're out there cutting ribbons at golf tournaments? That's not work for me. That's work for yourself with a side order of PR. And the public eats it up. We want to believe in the illusion. We want to think someone is up there in the marble buildings fighting for us, making decisions in our best interest. It's comforting, like believing in Santa Claus. Except Santa doesn't rob you blind and send your kid to war. Politicians aren't serving you. They're serving the donors, the corporations, the lobbyists. You're just the extra in the background shot, the audience they pretend to care about. Look at campaign season, that's when the illusion is strongest. They roll up their sleeves, kiss a few babies, eat hot dogs at the county fair, and suddenly they're just like you. Yeah, except they go back to their limousine when the cameras are off. They'll talk about the common man, but they haven't had a common experience in decades. You think they shop at Walmart? You think they're clipping coupons? Hell no. But for 2 months every 4 years, they put on the costume, shake your hand, and tell you what you want to hear. That's not service. That's performance art. And the illusion keeps rolling even after they're elected. They give speeches about sacrifice while they vote themselves pay raises. They talk about hard choices while their staff does all the actual work. They stand in front of flags and talk about other people, while the only people in the room are lobbyists with fat checks. That's the show. That's the illusion. It's like professional wrestling. You know it's fake, they know it's fake, but everyone agrees to pretend it's real so the circus can go on. You ever notice how politicians always claim credit when something good happens, but never take the blame when it goes wrong? If the economy grows, they'll tell you it's because of their policies. If it crashes, suddenly it's a global forces or unforeseen events. They're like the guy who takes credit for the sun coming up, but swears he had nothing to do with the rain. That's part of the illusion, too. They're the hero when things are good, but the innocent bystander when things are bad. Convenient, isn't it? And they'll tell you over and over again that they're fighting for you. Fighting for who? Exactly. Fighting for your landlord to raise the rent. Fighting for corporations to outsource your job. Fighting for the military budget to balloon while your kid's school can't afford pencils. That's not fighting for you. That's fighting to keep the donors happy and the campaign money flowing. But they'll stand there, eyes full of fake sincerity, and sell you the illusion. It's a well-oiled machine. They know people want to feel represented. People want to feel like someone up there cares. So they sell the feeling, not the reality. It's marketing 101. They slap a flag pin on, smile for the cameras, say, "God bless," and boom, the illusion is complete. You feel good for a minute, you feel like you matter. But the second the speech is over, they're back in the limo, back at the fundraiser, back to making deals that have nothing to do with you. And here's the kicker. If they actually served you, if they really worked for you, they'd be broke. They'd be exhausted. They'd be living like nurses, teachers, and construction workers. The real public servants. But no, politicians leave office richer than when they came in. That tells you everything you need to know. The service isn't going to you, it's going to themselves. The illusion keeps you quiet while the real game goes on behind the curtain. So every time you hear the phrase "a public service," just remember it's a show, a costume, a trick. They don't serve you, they serve the people who keep them in power. The only service you get is the illusion of service. And they're damn good at keeping that illusion alive. So in the end, it's always the same story. The people at the top serve themselves, not you. They've been doing it since crowns and thrones, and they'll keep doing it in suits and ties. The faces change, the slogans change, the technology changes, but the scam never changes. They keep you entertained with promises, distracted with illusions, and convinced that somehow you matter in a game that was rigged long before you showed up. You're not the customer. You're not the boss. You're not even on the guest list. You're the product. You're the fuel. You pay the bills, you clap on command, and you swallow the illusion of service while they carve up the real feast for themselves. And every few years, they wheel out a new liar to keep the cycle spinning. That's politics, folks. Or see, it's not government of the people, by the people, for the people. It's government of the politicians, by the politicians, by the politicians. Always has been, always will be.